you wanted the best, you've got the best podcast, the hottest podcast in the world. The Chris Voss Show, the preeminent podcast with guests so smart you may experience serious brain bleed. The CEOs, authors, thought leaders, visionaries, and motivators. Get ready. Strap yourself in. Keep your hands, arms, and legs inside the vehicle at all times, because you're about to go on a monster education roller coaster with your brain. Now, here's your host, Chris Voss.
Hello, this is Voss here from the ChrisVossShow.com. Ladies and gentlemen, there are only things that makes it official. Welcome to the show. As always, the Chris Voss Show is a family that loves you, but won't loan you money, so please stop asking. Darn it. For 16 years, over 2,200 episodes, of being the CEO of the Billionaires, the White House President's Advisors, the Pulitzer Prize winners, all the smartest people in the world to share with you their stories, their journeys, their companies, the things they're building to make the world a better place. And as always, we cover CES every year, the Consumer Electronics Show. And usually we also have Gary Shapiro on the show. I believe we'll be having him again for the 5th or 6th year in a row. He's got to plug a book, too. Runs that big CES. But we'll be having some of the wonderful folks that are bringing their entrepreneur wares to CES and on the show to share with you as well and preview them, and you can check them out. The cutting edge of technology, as they like to say. I believe that's what CES stands for, the cutting edge of strategic technology. I'm just making stuff up. It's Consumer Electronics Show. Anyway, we had an amazing young man on the show with us today. He's going to be talking to us about what he's up to. Alex Camarano. Let me cut that again. Alex Camarano joins the show with us today. He is a French entrepreneur with over a decade of experience in the U.S. His company is based in Oakland, California, and he began his career as the founder and CEO of Daylighted, an innovative art platform that digitized and democratized art. He was then the founding team at Istra Health, and a biotech company researching psychedelics to help with menopause and PMS. He was also introduced to FlowStop, through a mutual investor of both FlowStop and Daylighted, leading to a consulting partnership in 2024. His collaboration grew quickly into a full-time role, and Alex is now the founder and senior managing director of FlowStop US, an American subsidy of FlowStop Industry. Welcome to the show, Alex. How are you?
Thank you, Chris. I'm great. Thank you for having me here.
Thank you for coming as well. Give us your .coms or .whatever so where people can find you on the interwebs.
Yeah, you go to FlowStop, floodbarrier.com.
Now, FlowStop, I'm old, and I have to pee a lot at night when I'm waking up and going to sleep and stuff like that. Is that what this does? Is like a diaper form that helps people like me or something?
No, it's not that kind of flow. No, we can't help there.
Darn it. Could you see if you can develop a side product on it? So give us a 30,000 overview, you guys, what you guys do there.
So FlowStop is a flood barrier. Flooding is one of the worst natural disaster in the country, in the world. I think 90% of all the natural disaster are related to flooding.
Wow. And
every year it's about $4 billion something of insurance case because of the waste it creates, because people lose their house and there is barely any solutions. And so FlowStop find this amazing technology in 2019 back in France, and they created an inflatable barrier that's very easy to use and that can save your house and your building and your business.
Yeah. We saw a lot of water damage from the recent hurricanes in California. You see that all over. We've had a lot of conversation on the show about damage and survivorship from, climate change and different things that it's bringing. We recently had somebody on who's helping try and fix the, insurance industry because insurance companies are pulling out of Florida and California because the damage that can happen there. And it's and the sad part is water damage is so insidious. Whether it's sea damage that gets into cars in Miami, the salt eats away at them, or just water, mold, yuckity yuck that can get in your house if you flood. And we're seeing like just historic, crazy changes of some place where someone lived for 30 years and there was never flooding, and all of a sudden, boom, there it is.
Yeah, you probably heard that expression, 100 years flood. Yeah. And people hear that and think, oh, it's a flood that can happen only once in 100 years. And it's actually 1% chance that the flood's going to be that bad. And in the last 3 years, we had 3 of them. In the last 2 years, we had 3 of them just in Florida. So yeah, it's more and more.
Yeah, and then I'm in California. I think last year had its first, or this year, last year, had its like first hurricane that I'd heard about in 150 years or something. I'm like, wait, California doesn't have hurricanes, but they do now. So give us an overview of kind of roughly how the product works and how it functions.
Yeah, everything is custom made, and it protects the opening of a house. So a door, a garage door, a window, and it needs a frame to push against. So it's basically two cushion that we inflate with air like you would a paddleboard.
Oh.
So we measure the size of your door, we custom make it, you receive it at home, you inflate the top part and you put it in your opening, and that top part will create a force that goes to the side of the opening. And the only function of that top cushion is to create a sort of a roof for the bottom cushion, because what's very important for a flood barrier is a force that goes down. That's what, compress the gasket and prevent water from coming in. So we create a roof with the first cushion, and then the second cushion will push down, create a water seal all around the opening.
Wow. Yeah. And everybody's sealing it in, and there's lots of examples you guys have on the website there. It looks like it's fairly portable, too. Like it's got handles. A weak old man like me could probably carry it around and set it up.
So that's the main innovation with this product. If you look at what's...
No, I'm just teasing you.
But yeah, if you look at what's out there on the market, most of the product, it's heavy metal panels. And most people don't have the storage for it, can't carry it, can't install it themselves. And when they do, they're stuck inside their house and they can't leave depending on their mobility capacity. So this product is that innovative because anyone can carry it, anyone can install it, and anyone can deflate it to leave the house in case of emergency.
Wow. And it looks like you can use a bicycle pump if needs be. Yeah. And so I imagine creating the air expansion inside of the device helps block any leakages and stuff like that.
So yeah, you can use a hand pump. And I'd say you use the hand pump for a small door, like a 36, 40 inches door. If it's not a tall barrier, it'll take 3 or 4 minutes. Now, if you have 10 opening, including 2 garage door that are 15 to 16 feet, you'll get an electric pump and it'll be a lot easier. But yeah, the concept is to use drop stitch technology. And you probably have heard of drop stitch, right? It's a technology used for the paddleboard and in a lot of different inflatable application. It allowed the cushion to be extremely resistant to pressure. So you can put up to 20 PSI pressure inside the inflatable without popping it. And so that pressure is what hold on the wall, create the seal, and hold the water.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is pretty amazing. I'm looking at the website. And then you guys custom make these, or can custom make them if you want, to, whatever people have. I'm looking at a really giant long one that runs along someone's patio. That's pretty crazy. And then you just give it the pump of air, you fill it out, it closes any gaps that might be there. Yeah, wow. Strap it.
Yeah, they're all custom made, and you might say all doors are standard. Why are you customizing everything? That doesn't sound so right. And yet the doors are standard, the door frame is not. And it's never the same frame. And it's water, as you said in the introduction, is super sneaky. And so we do everything custom made to make sure we got the exact size and all that little tolerance that the FlowStop may have to feel any imperfection, because that's the purpose of an inflatable, right? Is if your floor is not even, if your wall has bricks with grouts, if you've had a hard metal piece, it would never, match all of that. Our inflatable match all of that, but we want to keep that, that margin of adaptation for that part, and not too much, an imperfect measurement. Make sense?
Yeah, you can't trust water, man. I had a glass of water steal my wallet one time. Turn your back, it's gone. But no, it's interesting. There's a lot of development of this technology. I think either I cited, or it's in the PR stuff here, that you guys have been developing this course, as you mentioned, for a long time, since 2019, but you guys have gotten endorsements from nuclear facilities and other things like that, I believe.
Insurance company.
Yeah. Yeah, insurance companies, they're the ones that are taking the beating on losses. So it's important for them. You don't want a nuclear power plant to go offline because it got flooded. It's never a good thing from what I understand. And governments, and yeah, I mean, and people can order these for their business. I remember one time there was a big flood in Vegas, and we were on the other side of the freeway, so we didn't think it was ever going to, we were on the other side of the freeway from the downtown. And you only had cars floating upside down the Las Vegas Strip. It was a really bad flood. And I remember we were on the other side of the freeway with our office building and a road up. And I came to my office during that flood, and the water had come up to within a foot of the door. And it was starting to rise, and there was like a curb still left. And once that curb got breached, we were going to have water. And I remember sitting there just thinking, oh, my God, what am I going to do?
I just spent 2 weeks in Dubai because they had those gigantic storm in March. And, in places like Vegas or Dubai, you think there's never going to be flooding there. It's a desert, it's dry. And it's actually what makes the place at such risk because there's no infrastructure. So if there is a heavy rain, water just rises.
Yeah.
There's nowhere to go.
The way Vegas sits, it's a valley. So everything just runs to the middle, which happens to be the Strip. So homeowners could buy this. Is there any discounts you can get from maybe your insurance carrier if you live in high flooding areas, or any sort of ways to help homeowners purchase these things?
Not yet. We're trying to work with insurance company in the U.S. We incorporated in the U.S. in September, so we have preliminary conversation with them. In France, it's already the case. Yeah, the insurance company are actually selling the product. You can probably see it on the website. They have their own logo on our product. Groupama, which is one of a huge insurance company. Yeah, they put their logo on it and they sell it to their own client. So I'm pretty sure by the end of the year or 2025, we should be working with insurance company in the US because of how much they can save by simply using this product.
Yeah, I mean, pulling out of states like Florida and California is not really helpful to anybody, although I think it kind of cushions them from some losses. One of the problems with the insurance business is they're not spread out even very well. So their distribution of risk isn't spread out very well. There's kind of pockets. So like this was explained to me last week by one of the insurance carriers. They're trying to fix the problem. And so they don't have a good balance. And, if California gets hit real hard or Florida gets hit real hard, they get hit hard. And, stuff like this, I mean, would just make sense. I mean, a few of these surrounding your house would sure be nothing. How do these compare to sandbags? Sandbags seem to be a popular, cheap thing to do, but we've seen they're not always effective. How do they compare, and what do you feel makes your product better?
I mean, they're way more expensive than sandbag. I'll give you that, but they work.
They work.
And
they work.
So, yeah. I mean, it's really hard to prevent water from coming in. And if sandbag will help lower the damage. You won't have as much water, but you don't have leakage everywhere. You'll have some water in the house. But depending on how many openings you have to protect, you need a second garage just for your sandbags. And then you need to move them in and out every time there is a risk. And so not everybody has the mobility to do that. But even if you do you want to spend the hours moving the sandbags to protect every opening? Because if you put the sandbags in front of your 9 doors, but you forgot one, it's like you've done nothing. It's like having a dam that's 9 feet on a 10-feet river. And so every time you start protecting, you start moving all the bags out of your storage, put them around. And so often those bags, they take too much space to have them in your house, or you have them in another storage. And so it's just very not convenient.
Plus, I mean, they're heavy to stack. Even if you're just, like you said, inventory wise, if you're making your handbags on the fly, you got some sand, you got the bags. That takes time.
If it's your last resort, go for it.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
it takes about 6 weeks to receive your FlowStop. They manufactured in Europe, so we make them and ship them. If you didn't order on time and it's your last resort, go for send back for sure.
Yeah.
But
and you guys over there in France, I think, have two of your nuclear facilities that utilize these for protection.
I think 3 now.
3?
Yeah, 3.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just going off the website, so you may want to update.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I can see a big need for this. Here's some commercial buildings that they're using those, and so they can make them at any length, any height. Here's one protecting an old ancient commune, I believe. And I could use one of these last time I was at a Diddy party. Anyway, you guys are going to be down in Eureka Park then?
Yeah, correct.
And then, do you know your booth number off the top of your head?
No. Okay. But I can find
just
out.
Shoot over and we'll put it on the posts. But you guys will be in the big French contingency, right?
Yeah, I just found it. We're going to be at 6415.
6415 booth.
Yeah.
And you can't miss the French contingency area. It's like freaking huge. I think they have a big rooster. Isn't their logo?
Probably, yeah. That's one of the mascot of the country.
Oh, is it? Is that why?
Yeah.
I always just thought they put it up because it was cool looking, and I'm like, okay, that's their thing. Or I thought it was a logo, but now I
don't know the history of it. I don't know the story and why we have the rooster as this mascot for France. But if we see each other again, I'll research and I'll let you know.
Well, that's a great reason to get back on the show. Maybe the French like the rooster because it helps get you out of bed and get you down to the baguette store and the espresso shop. Or do the French do espresso? Yeah, they do espresso, right?
Yeah. I mean, it's in Italian.
It's third show of the day. I'm starting to slip here, Alex. The Alzheimer's kicking in. But no, this is exciting. So how did you get into these guys? In your words, how did you grow up, become an entrepreneur, get involved with some of the startups you've been involved? What were some of the proponents that got you down that road?
San Francisco.
Well,
I think
okay.
Is that,
Thanks, guys. Good night. Have a good show.
It's the energy and the people in the city. I went to Temple University and I had never heard the word startup. That was really not, in my circle. And I moved to San Francisco and I had ideas and people were just like, oh, this is a business. You should do that. And here, I'll help you. And from my first stupid idea, I daylighted the art company for over 10 years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And I know you're being funny and facetious, but the interesting thing about being an entrepreneur is some of the early stuff we do doesn't always do as well, but those early failures, they kind of help teach us, what does work. I had plenty of early failures, a little bit of success, but all those taught me so many lessons along the line that when I finally, got the opportunity to, get the ball across the plate, I hit it out of the park. Yeah. It's interesting how the things that we go through in life end up preparing us for some of the things that we'll really succeed at. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's a very interesting topic to look at the lens of French versus America. And this is something we say and we believe in America. Like your first failure are a huge experience and it's probably the reason you're going to do so well in your next venture. French people don't see it that way, which is very interesting and frustrating in my opinion. But
yeah. It's one of those things, but there's so many over the years. I've interviewed so many people out of the French contingency, and I think it's still that way. As soon as you walk in Eureka Park, it's just there. The rooster's there, and it's just huge. And so the conversations I've had with entrepreneurs and startups from France, and there's a lot of other countries represented there too as well that are amazing, but just entrepreneurs are so fun and amazing to me because they solve problems. They usually solve real world problems. They change the world. They put a dent in the universe, as Steve Jobs would say. And they look at things are and see how they could be, if you will.
Yeah. And I've met a bunch of people that are coming this year at the Eureka Park with the French delegation, and there's some amazing technology. Yeah. Fascinating people. They're extremely knowledgeable and passionate about what they're doing. And we met this guy who's working on a sensor. I'm jokingly going to call it the Fitbit for oyster, just because you're going to remember that. But they're putting sensor into oyster and mussels to study the quality of the water next to a gas, petrol station or anywhere like pollution. And and a lot of like interesting technology like that.
It's so amazing. You know, AI and all that stuff. It's crazy what's going on now. In fact, there's probably so much AI we should go look at CES. Do you have any, what's the future of the company? You guys working on anything you can talk about? Any innovations or maybe what you see on the horizon? Or is it mostly expanding, you know, people knowing about your product and maybe insurance companies and other people that can utilize it?
I mean, there's two phases. We're focused on business development for the product we have and we just launched. But we're also working hard on the next product that I'm going to talk to you next year on this show because we're very excited about it. It's still an inflatable to protect from natural disaster, but it's a step forward from flooding, and I think we'll be excited to talk about it next year.
Now, can you make a small mini version for me so that if someone starts saying something really stupid, like a conspiracy theory or politics or something, I can just plug my ears with one? I can do a little psh, inflate it, and then la la, I can't hear you.
You put it inside and then you inflate it.
Save me from those Disney parties, that sort of thing. But are they baby oil resistant, by the way? No, I'm just kidding. We're doing the jokes. I don't know what that means. But I mean, it's really cool. And I like how you don't even have to have like a heavy duty pump or anything. You can just, you know, and that's probably important because, you know, if your power's out because of a hurricane or something like that, you know, well, we were going to have to use the pump for this, but it makes sense. And it looks like it's easy to carry around, set up, you know. Yeah.
And you probably saw the picture of that beautiful French village. It's a protected village, and so the government doesn't allow to do any modification on the property. So you cannot drill anything. So there is no other solution than FlowStop to do flood prevention in those buildings. Wow. Because if you have a building that you cannot just drill or make, you know, modification, if you're not allowed because of an HOA or if you cannot because of other reason, FlowStop is the solution.
Easy to set up, and from the looks of it, it doesn't do really any damage to the door frame or the door or wherever it's blocking because it, you know, it's kind of padded there with the air.
Yeah. It has this gasket on the side that creates the waterproof and that protects the frame. Now we are very careful to not install it on drywall, to not install it on like too thin of an aluminum panel because that would crush it. You need a block, you know, concrete or blocks to push against.
The pressure part is it won't, you know, technically won't do lasting damage. You'll never know it was there after the flood. And these things are only going to get worse, evidently, from the way the weather's going and global warming. I mean, I was a little bit of a global warming skeptic back in the day. I was kind of like, I don't know what to think about it. There's people smarter than me. Let them resolve it. But now it's pretty much undeniable, man. I mean, we just went through a really hot summer. I mean, we didn't have fall here in Utah. It was really weird. We just went from scorching heat to freezing cold, and you're just like, what happened to that winter or that fall drive leaves thing? That was over quick. It was nice to have the extended summer, but you know, you just never know what's going to come. I imagine if, you know, it might be great for portable to have around the house if you have a water main burst or, you know, kid overflows the tub or something. I don't know. There's probably a lot of different applications for it.
Yeah, you put it on top of the tub to do a cover. I'm kidding, but that's the concept of a new product we're coming up with.
Yeah, so when people crawl into their tubs during tornadoes and stuff, and they use that to
the bigger tub that you keep in your garden.
Yeah. How did you know I have a tub in my garden? Anyway, I have a washing machine and some tires, but you know that's because never mind. So,
no, but I think I can talk about this product because we're probably going to launch it this year. But if you have a swimming pool, you know, the big tub in the garden, and in the winter you want to, you know, cover it with a very safe protection where you can walk on, put a table and chair, and have dinner on top of your pool, and make sure nothing comes inside the pool. We can just make a custom-made FlowStop. It's the same product we have today, and you just inflate it on top of your pool. It'll sit on the water, and it'll create a platform.
That might be really good, too, and I'm sure you've thought of this in states like Vegas and other places that have a lot of pools for drowning. Because that's one of the problems you have. You have a young kid who goes out and, might drown in the pool if he gets past the fence or whatever. Some people put a fence around it, and then a lot of the covers for pools aren't, you can't stand on most of them. So if the kid does go out on the cover, he could still sink in.
Right.
But yeah, having something like that would definitely make sense. What about, I know one of the places that has a lot of problems with water is Venice and stuff. This is probably really big there.
Yeah, I know they're huge in Europe, in Dubai now, in Spain. You probably have heard of Spain flooding a month ago. It was all over the news.
Oh, that's right. The cars are all piled up. I remember that.
But yeah, Europe is a huge market for us, and they've been there for 5 years. They're very well established, and they're growing fast. I don't have numbers on, Italy specifically, and mostly because I've heard of Spain so much internally because of what happened.
Yeah. And a lot of times, you don't have a lot of time to go get sandbags, go get sand. Everybody's getting sand, If you have some of this specifically made, custom made for your house or small business, you can just grab them out of storage, throw them up real quick, and off you go.
But again, it's a prevention measure, and you need to measure your door ahead of time. It takes 4 or 5 weeks to manufacture and ship, and so it takes you won't be able to call us in the last minute and say, "Can you deliver tomorrow or next week?" because it's coming. That is too late. But you're right. The logistic around that, we're talking with a bank that has many locations in Florida, and they have to rent warehouse to pile metal bars in those warehouses to equip all the banks. And when the flood comes, they have to hire someone, get a truck, bring all the bars and install them because the employee can't, do it themselves. Mm-hmm. So they have to hire someone. The problem is everybody wants to hire that person that weekend. Everybody's facing the same problem. And so FlowStop is a great solution. You can have your 4 or 5 FlowStop per location inside the bank because it's so small and light and easy to store that, logistic is a big part for consumer, individual, but also for larger businesses.
So you probably love what you do as an entrepreneur, would you say?
Yeah, and surprisingly, I've always product that were very aligned to, passions. But what I really love in this specific company is the people I work with. Mm. The team in France is really fascinating. I have a lot of respect of them for how hard they work and their integrity. And so that's been the number one reason enjoying my work with FlowStop.
It's so amazing how, like I said, entrepreneurs see the world as not as it is, but how it could be. And without that sort of innovation, the qualification, the human spirit, changing the world, it's just amazing. The French Pavilion, we love it. So give us your final pitch out to people. How can they get to know you better.com to look at, et cetera, et cetera?
Yeah, so visit the website flowstopfloodbarrier.com, and you'll have all the information there to reach out to me, and we'll look at your buildings, your house. We'll look at how we can protect it. We'll do a recommendation on how to protect the openings, but also how to protect the rest of the building, because doing the opening is the first line of protection, but protecting a full building, it's a big project. And so we want to be here to help you with that. So flowstopfloodbarrier.com.
Thank you very much for coming on the show. We really appreciate it.
Thank you, Chris.
It's been fun to have you. And as they say on the show floor, have a great show. And congratulations. It's a big show, and like I mentioned in the green room, wear very comfortable shoes and be prepared for walking, and don't take care of yourself. You don't want to party hard at night. Don't drink too much. Oh, stay hydrated. You're in the desert.
I will keep the water
too. Yeah, you gotta. That's the one part of the water you got to use those barriers of control. You got to stay hydrated in Vegas. So
that's the only exception where we're gonna leave the water flow.
I mean, Vegas still has flooding problems, even in spite of all the infrastructure they built. Casinos need a lot of protection. Anyway, thank you for coming on the show. Thanks, Miles, for tuning in. Be sure to check them out. Do you have the booth off the top of your head real quick so people can check?
60415 60415.
And they're in the basement of the Venetian, Eureka Park. And all that good stuff. So thank you for coming on the show. Thanks to our audience for tuning in. Stay tuned for future updates. We'll be previewing a number of companies from CES coming up 2025, and I believe Gary Shapiro will be on the show, the CEO of CES and CTA. Thanks for tuning in. Be good to each other. Stay safe. We'll see you next time.
And drive.